Now, I wanted to create this video for you to find the strength of spirit when you need it most. Now, there's always going to be situations in life when you're trying to navigate through something. Sometimes it's only the small things, sometimes it's like the huge, like heartbreaking stuff and what we all need to go through in this life. But what we often forget is that there's always somebody there to help us. There is always the most amazing, beautiful support, your team in spirit that are always there to assist you whenever you need the most. But the most difficult thing that comes from ourselves, nothing is ever difficult in heaven. It always comes through us. It always comes through the emotions of us, that we can sometimes actually forget that there's help there. We've all been in that moment where we're struggling and we're just needing somebody just to shine that light into our life. And in that moment is always when you just stop and you pause and you go, right, okay, who can I ask? Because sometimes it isn't always easy to ask somebody in this side of life, because maybe you don't want to, maybe you don't want to burden somebody, maybe you don't want to share your problems with anybody else. So you've always got somebody who you can discreetly ask if you want to, or you can openly hearted ask, like, could you just help? Could you bring that help into my life, please? Now, going back to when we forget, because that's what happens when we're caught up in the erratic emotional self, like don't know where to turn, goes into that fight or flight feeling. And normally what we do is fight. And as we fight through whatever situation that we're going through, then that fight just snowballs. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And then you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to turn here. All of this is so completely unnecessary. If you just take that time, that breathing space, that's what it is, just breathing space for yourself to say, what do I need to do? How do I need to work this out? Who can I go to? That's when your team, and even as I'm saying that, I can see, it's so amazing. I can see the most beautiful people in spirit come forward saying, that's it. So simple, so easy. That's all you need to do. Now, what you need to do is very simple. There is not enough information to fill a page in a book, and what I need to tell you here is just say, could you help me please? Or could you be directful in telling me how to do this or that? If you want to be specific with it, then go ahead and do so. If not, just ask for help. But in order for you to receive the help, you must surrender. And that becomes that wee bit more of that complicated feel, like that push, shove, resistant emotion in what us human beings carry, because we're like, okay, can you help me? It isn't here yet. How many times have you done that? Oh, okay, I asked them for help when it hasn't arrived yet. But what you've got to remember, that help arrives in so many different forms in physical life. And if you were dealing or talking to somebody physically, whether that be a person that's still in your life now or the person that once was physically in your life who is now in spirit, and you ask them for help, you get a response, you get that instant response in what you are looking for. But when it comes to earth calling on spirit to bring forward any information in which we need, sometimes there's a little time lapse. Now, that time lapse can then cause this anguish upon the person, whatever is happening in their life right now. And that anguish is there, and you can easily just leave it just sitting in a small scale emotion, or you can just completely amplify it. When you amplify it, that's when you start to lose another sense of yourself. So please be aware of that there is always that bit of time it needs to take for that process to happen and come back into your life and show you what you're looking for. Not every time do you get an instant result. It can happen depending if it's just something small and you just need a piece of information or you need an idea. That can happen like so swiftly. Other times it needs a process because the other people need to come into your life. So other people are in the equation of it, or it could be something else that needs to form. So all of that takes a bit of a delay. Now that delay is nothing whatsoever in heaven life, because there is no time in heaven. It's just a completely beautiful open space, but that time is what controls our life. Now please even hear that, because as they're showing me, it's such a controller. It's like time all of the time. But when you go, do you know what, I know I'm going to get the help. I've already asked for the help. And then you just let go of what you're trying to grasp onto. You surrender and you trust the fact that whatever is needed for you will come to you in the bestest possible way. Now, here's another thing as well. You may anticipate something happening in a certain way because that's your train of thought, that's your perspective of what you've just gone through. But you've always got to remember, in heaven, they know best. So you may have the solution that's already formed in your head, but your loved ones say, oh no, we've got a better result coming your way. So you need to leave it. And the only way that you can leave it is when you get out of your own way. So you've always got that choice with every situation in life. You can fight what you're going through, or you can take flight. And that flight is when you go, I need to drop this from my emotional and mental space to allow the information to come into my spiritual heart space. And that is what's going to give me the answers and what I am searching for. Now, just a little personal example, because Spirit always tell me to speak in personal examples, whether it be something that I've been through or whether something that I've discussed with a client, because for some reason, we'll always remember a story more than a piece of advice. Now, many years ago, when my mum was extremely unwell, and at that point, I'm watching little orbs going above my head, if you see them. At that point of her life, and weren't sure if she was going to come through what she had gone through, and she was on life support for a short term of time. There was nothing I could do. It was completely out of my control. And what I would have wished to do, that I would have been able to be that person to go and fix that situation, make everything okay, bring her back home, and then that's it. We continue again on We're Happy Ever After. But unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. Some things we can control, some things that we can do and apply ourselves and hope for a different result. Other times we're just like, no, I don't know what I need to do there. Now, it doesn't always need to be something physical in your life. It could be how you're feeling about life. It could be the thoughts that you think about life, or what you've already been through, or the past hurts that come back every so often, just for that refocus and that renewal of perspective. All of these are things that we need help with. We always need spiritual assistance. But when that situation, when that happened with my mum, and I knew there was nothing, I was helpless in what I can do or what I could offer. So what I would do at night, in the dark nights with the bright starry skies, and I would go outside and I would say, can you please help? And I would leave it. I never ever asked for like direct responses. I never said, can you help with this, that, because you don't need to explain yourself. That's where we get so confused with everything as well, and we need to go into this like long drawn out conversation, when you need to remember, in the higher perspective of life, they see everything and everyone. So you don't need to go into this like intricate detail, because they know the ins and outs of everything. So that's what I would do. I would just go and say, can you please help? And I would just look at certain stars, and especially the ones that were like the most twinkling, and I would just kind of give them names of my loved ones that had already crossed over. And just that was just my distraction in life, and talking to the stars. And just on that little note as well, your loved ones always know when you talk to the stars, because I always like to bring that up in conversations as well. So please be reassured that you are being heard, you are being listened to, and help is always, always coming into your life. So that's all I would do. Ask, leave it, walk back in the door, and just hope. Because when you come back to life sometimes with hope and faith, and that's the only things that you have that you can hold on to, that feel like, well, this is what belongs to me, this is all that I can grasp in my space right now, then good. Then let it be the only things, because that's all you need when you've got a special, beautiful, assigned team working with you every day. So please take the easier option and take flight, not fight.